Hi and welcome to Data Coder. I have created this new playlist Clinical SaaS Programming where I am going to discuss the programming concepts of SDTM, ADAM and TLA programming. In this particular video, I am going to discuss about the basic concepts of SDTM, and I have taken the reference of SDTM Implementation Guide 3.2, and I am going to discuss some important concepts you need to remember if you are a beginner to SDTM. If this is your first time in this channel, then please subscribe to the channel for more updates and upcoming videos, and don't forget to click on the bell icon so you never miss an update. So let's get started. So this is SDTM Implementation Guide 3.2, and you can download this document from the CDisk website. So this is SDTM Implementation Guide 3.2, and this is for human clinical trials. So if you are a beginner to SDTM and you want to learn clinical SaaS programming, so there are some important concepts or important sections in this SDTM implementation guide you can follow, and you can learn the basic concepts. So let's get started with this. So this is the document, and so here if you see the cover page, then notes to readers, revision history, table of contents. Here you can see the table of contents, and I'll go to this introduction, which is section 1.1. So this is also we can skip. Then let's go to this purpose of this SDTM implementation guide, and next is the organization of this document. We can skip that one as well. So here is the important thing, section 1.3, which is relationship to prior CDisk documents. So the prior CDisk version was SDTM IG 3.13. So here it's the latest one is 3.2, and we'll see what are the changes made in 3.2 document. So the first important changes what we can see is the exposure domain has been enhanced, and the second is in the intervention class, the exposure is collected EC and procedure is peer. These two domains are added into the intervention class. So what are these domain exposure is collected or procedures? We are going to learn later. So here we can see what are the changes made from SDTM IG 3.13 to SDTM IG 3.2. And the next, if you see in the event class, the healthcare encounter domain or HO domain has been added, and most of the domain added into the finding class. That the first domain added is the DD or death details, then is the IS domain added, then MI is added as well. Morphology or MO domain is added. RP is added. RP stands for this reproductive system findings, and subject status or SS domain. These are the domains added in the finding class. So next important is there is a new domain added as a skin response SR, and for the trial design domain, one new trial design domain has been added, that is trial disease assessment or TD. Next important thing is the reference column is removed from all domain model specification. So you can go through this section 1.3 and learn in details what are the changes made from the previous SDTM IG version to this new SDTM IG. So this is very important. Next we can see how to read this document. You can go through this. Next submitting comments, this is also there. Next is section 2, which is fundamentals of SDTM. This is very important. So here we'll see first what are the observation and what is a variable. So here if you see this submission data, standards are based on the SDTM general framework for organizing clinical trials information that is to be submitted to the FDA. And the SDTM built around the concept of observations collected about subjects who participated in a clinical study. So what is observation? Each observations can be described by a series of variables corresponding to a row in a data set or table, and each variable can be classified according to its role. So each variable we can classify according to its role. And what is the role of the variable? The role is, a role determines the type of information conveyed by the variable about each distinct observation and how it can be used. So variables can be classified into 5 major roles. First one is the identifier, then topic, then timing, then qualifier and rule. So these are the 5 different categorization of variable based on their roles. So first is identifier variable. What is the identifier variable? So identifier variable is something which identify the study or subject or domain or sequence number. So use subject ID, study ID, domain name or the sequence number, those are the identifier variable. Next important variable is the topic variable. So topic variable specify the focus of the observations. Okay. So for each class we have a topic variable. For example, for the event class a dataset. So if we see, for that the topic variable is a term, and for CM it's the intervention class dataset. For that the topic variable is CMTRT, and for finding domain it will be test cd. So like that we have different topic variable for each class. Next is the timing variable. So timing variable describe the timing of the observation. So start date, end date, those comes under the timing variable. Next is qualifier variable, which includes additional text or numeric values. So again this qualifier variables has been categorized into subcategorized into 5 different qualifier. First is grouping qualifier like cat or scat. So here if you see, what are these 2 hyphen that can be replaced by the domain. So if we are creating this cat variable for LB, then we can replace this hyphen with LB cat or LB scat. Next is result qualifier. So result qualifier which describe the specific results associated with the topic variable in a finding data set. They are like ORRES, STRESC, like that. So here also this hyphen we can replace with the domain name. For example, LBORRES or LBSTRESC. Next is synonym qualifier. Synonym qualifier specify the alternate name for the particular variable like modify or decode, like that. For example, here we can say a decode. Next is the record qualifier. So in the record qualifier define additional attribute of the observation records as a whole. So here these are the record qualifier like age, sex, race, in the TM domain, and this BLFL. So here if we can say LBVLFL or VSPOS, VSPOS, like that. Next is variable qualifier. So variable qualifier is used further modify or describe a specific variable within an observation, and are only meaningful in the context of the variable they qualify. For example, unit ORRESU, like LB ORRESU. So here also ORNRHI. So here we can see LB ORNRHI, like that. So this qualifier variable is again subcategorized into 5 different qualifier categorization. Next, the last one is the rule variable. So rule variables are usually available in the trial design domains. For example, TATORD. These rule variables are like something. It's express an algorithm or executable method to define start and end or branching up or looping conditions in a trial design model. So example, if we are creating a subject element trial element data set. So here what are the elements present in that study, we can mention that, and how a element should start and how the element should end. Those rules will be mentioned in the rule variable, like TATORD is the variable name, for example. So this is the categorization of variable based on their roles. So we have seen the 5 variable. Next is data set and Domain. So what is a domain or what is a data sets? Observation about each study subjects are normally collected for all subjects in a series of domains. So what is a domain? A domain is defined as a collection of logically related observation within a common topic. So for a common topic, all the observation will be combined into one data set that we can say domain. So all the demographic details will be collected in the DM domain. All the laboratory results or laboratory data will be collected in one domain called LB. All the vital signs data will be collected in one domain, that is called VS domain. So this is how we can say the domain. Next is there are some rules. The variable name is limited to 8 characters and a descriptive variable label. So label can be up to 40 characters. The data type can be either numeric or character. The control terminology of the variable, if it's present, then you can use that. The origin of the variable also should be provided. So how the variable is originated? So either it's originated from a either it's derived from some other variable, or it's mentioned in the CRF, or it's collected in the CRF, or it's mentioned in the protocol. Or it's coming from the laboratory data or external data. So the origin of the variable we can mention. The role of the variable, what we have seen, comments also. So these are the metadata we need to provide while we are creating a variable. So these are the metadata. So the next is special purpose datasets. So what are the special purpose datasets? So the SDTM includes 3 types of special purpose dataset. One is domain dataset. There are 4 domains dataset which comes under this special purpose dataset. One is demographic or DM. Next is comments CO. Next is subject element SC and subject visit SV. So these 4 are comes under special purpose dataset, all of which include subject label data. Then do not conform to one or the 3 general observation class. So what are the 3 general observation class we are going to see later? So these 4 domain doesn't come under that 3 general observation class. So these 4 data sets are considered as a special purpose data set. Next is trial design model. This trial design model like trial arm, trial element, those also doesn't come under this general observation class. So these are also comes under special purpose data sets. Next is relationship data set, rel-rec or supplementary. Okay, when we are going to see all the domains in details, there we can learn the concept of this rel-rec and supplementary as well. Next is general observation classes. So there are 3 general observation classes: intervention, events and finding. So what is the intervention? What is the intervention class? So the intervention class captures investigational, therapeutic and other treatments that are administered to the subject with some actual or expected psychological effect, either as specified by the study protocol or coincident with the study assessment period, or self-administered by the subject. So if some drugs is given or some study medication is given to the subject, or subject is taking something like subject is taking alcohol or tobacco, all these things, so those things will be comes under this intervention class. Next is event class. So event class captures planned protocol milestone such as randomization and study completion and occurrence condition, or includes independent of planned study evaluation occurring during the trial like adverse event, or prior design like medical history. So if the patient has some medical history, or patient are experiencing some adverse event, those things will be there. Any event related data will comes in this event class. Next is the last one is the finding class. So it captures the observation resulting from planned evaluations to address specific test or questions such as laboratory results or LB, ECG testing or EG, all these things. So these are the three general observation class, and we will see what are the data set which comes under intervention class, which data sets comes under event class, and which data set comes under finding class. So here is the details of data set belongs to each of these three class. So the SDTM standard domain model. So first one is the special purpose domain. So as we discussed, in the special purpose domain, we have four data set. First one is the comment or CO. Next is subject elements or SC. Then demographic DM and subject visit SV. So next comes under this intervention general observation class. So here we have five data sets which comes under this intervention class. One is concomitant medications or CM. Next is exposure EX. Then procedures PR, exposure as collected EC, and substance use SU. These are the five data set. Next in the event class we have six data set. The first one is the adverse event A, then disposition DS. Next is healthcare encounters HO, clinical event C, protocol deviation DV, and medical history or MH. Next we have most of the data set which comes under this finding class. So here we have this drug accountability DA, ECG test result EG, this immunogenicity specimen assessment IS, microbiology specimen MB, morphology MO, PK concentration PC, physical examination PE, reproductive system findings RP, subject characteristics or SC, tumor identification TU, vital signs VS, death details DD, inclusion exclusion criteria not met IE, laboratory test result LB, microscopic finding MI, microbiology susceptibility test MS, PK parameters PP, questionnaire QS, disease response RS, subject status SS, and tumor result TR. Next is finding about. In finding about, we have two data set. One is finding about FA and another is skin response SR. Next, in the trial domain model, in the trial domain, we have these six data sets are there: trial arm, trial element, trial inclusion and exclusion criteria TI, trial disease assessment TD, trial visit TV, trial summary TS. So in the trial design model, we don't have the subject details. We'll have all the protocol what are the whatever mentioned in the protocol. We'll get the details from there. Like for trial arms, we'll get what are the arms used for that study, or for TI, we can see what are the inclusion and exclusion criteria for that study. Next is relationship data set defined in section 8 representing relationship and data. Supplementary qualifiers like supplementary data set and RELREC. So these are the different classes of SDTM data set. Next is creating a new domain. So you can read that. I am going to leave it for now. Next important thing what we can see is here 3.2.1, this SDTM submission dataset definition and metadata example. So here if we see here it's given about different dataset, their description, their class, structure, purpose of this data set, keys, variables, and location. So for example, for DM, it's a demographic data set, and it comes under the special purpose domain, and its structure is one record for subject, and the key variables are study ID and use subject ID. Next is the comment data set, which comes under this also special purpose. Here the unique the structure is one record for comments per subject, and here the unique keys are study ID, use subject ID, and comment sequence. Like that for SE or subject element, one record for actual element per subject is the structure. So the unique keys are study ID, use subject ID, element code, and SE STDTC start date, element start date. Next is SV. It also comes under special purpose, and one record per actual visit for subject. So here the unique key is study ID, use subject ID, and visit number. Next is CM. CM is a intervention class, and here the even one record per recorded medication occurrence or constant dosing interval per subject. So here the key variables are study ID, use subject ID, CM TRT, and CM start date. So for all the intervention class, if you see, the TRT and start dates are the included in the uh, key variable, and where TRT is the topic variable. Next A, it's an event class, and the one record for adverse event per subject. The key variables are study ID, use subject ID, AD code, and ASTDTC. So based on this variable, we should have unique records. Next, most of this event class, if you see, the either DV term or start date, these are included. Next is the finding data set. In the finding data set, for example, physical examination, this is a finding data set. The structure is one record per body system or abnormality per visit per subject. So here study ID, use subject ID, P test city, and visit number, these are the unique variable or unique variable. Based on that, we should have unique record. So like that, all others are there, most of them are finding. Next, in the trial arm, the record is, it comes under trial design, and the record the structure is one record per plant arm element per plant element per arm. Study ID, arm CD, and TITORD, these are the unique key. For trial elements, it's one record per plant element. So study ID and element code are the key variable. For trial visit, it's one record per plant visit per arm. Study ID, visit number, and arm CD are the unique keys. Like that, we have all these things. RelRec, it's a special purpose data set, and the structure is one record per related record group or records or data sets. The unique keys are study ID, R domain, use subject ID, IDVAR, IDVAR and rel ID. Next is supplementary. For supplementary, it's study ID, R domain, use subject ID, IDVAR, IDVAR and QNAM. So here the structure is one record per IDVAR, IDVAR and QNAM value per subject. So these are these are the important concept we should learn first as a beginner to this SDTM implementation guide, and later we will see what are the primary keys. So in the next videos, I am going to discuss the some more important concept we need to learn from here, from 3.2.1.1. So for this video, it's all about this is all about, and we'll see in the next video. So please download this document from the CDEX website and go through it, and so you'll get a better idea. Thank you and happy learning.